Welcome back everyone. So in our first video we created a green ground object in our 3D Godot game. It was called static body, which just means a shape that can't be moved, and it's got the same old two things that every object is going to have inside it. It's got a collision shape, which is a box, and it's got a mesh, which is also a box, but the difference is that I've coloured that mesh in green, so I could click on material, choose a green colour for that mesh. One thing I realized I didn't do in the last video is I didn't group all of these objects together. So right now we've got the same problem that we had in 2D, where if I drag this, it separates from the hitbox, which I don't want. So I'm going to click on ground and click this button, which is the group button. Now if I drag everything, the hitbox and the ground are moving together. Not that I need to move my ground. So that's our static body. Now we're going to have a go at creating a rigid body. So rigid body is the movable type of body. We're going to have a ball that when you drop it, it won't be able to go through the ground, but it will respond to gravity, which would be a nice thing to see working. So let's create our ball now. It's going to be a rigid body. I'll click on main. I'll click add a new node, and I'm going to get a rigid body node. Physics, rigid body. So this is stuff that can be pushed around and responds to gravity and bounces off things. Let's make sure I've called this one ball again, just so that I don't lose it in my tree. Ball, rigid body. And it needs my two things inside it. It needs the collision shape and it needs a mesh. I might start with the mesh this time just so I can actually see the ball on the screen. I'm going to click plus again. And because I've added meshes before, I can actually just click it in this recent tab on the side. I don't need to go hunting for it in here. I don't even need to search for it. I can just click mesh, create. This one isn't going to be a box, it's going to be a sphere. I've got sphere mesh, and then you can see my sphere has popped up. It's halfway through the ground because it's 1 by 1 by 1 centered at the origin. That's okay for now. I think I'm going to leave it halfway through the ground. I'm going to draw the ball, I'm going to add my collider mesh, and then we can group the whole thing and pull it all up together so that they don't separate from each other. So white's a bit of a awful looking colour for the ball. Let's colour in our ball. I'll click on my mesh, I'll go to material, add a standard material, and then click on the material, just like I did for the ground. Once I've clicked on material, I'm going to go to albedo to change the colour of that material. Let's have a nice kind of red ball. There we go. There's my red ball. So that was just mesh. I have to click on it. Material. I have to create one and then click on it. And albedo has got my colour in there. That is the mesh finished. Now I'm going to click on the ball and make sure that I've got a hitbox as well. Otherwise it's never going to collide with the ground. So I click plus one final time, and this time I'm going to create a collision shape, which I've also used before, so it's in my recent list as well. Create. The collision shape is a sphere. I don't need to touch it at all because it's perfect 1 by 1 by 1 sphere, exactly the same as the mesh. I'm going to make sure that I group all of these objects together this time, so I'm going to click on ball and click group, so that when I drag this upwards, it's dragging both the mesh and the collision shape together, and it's going to drag it somewhere above the ground. You can see it's got a nice shadow and everything already. So that's the start of my game. I'm going to have a ball that slowly falls down onto the ground. And we're going to play the game now. And you'll notice there's a couple of things not quite working about it yet, but let's cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's try to play the game and see what happens. Select the current scene because I haven't played the game before. And here's our wonderful, very grey looking game. So the reason it's grey is because there's no default camera in 3D. So we actually need to add a camera node, otherwise you're going to get a grey game like this. It's a pretty easy thing to add. We go back to main, we click plus once more, and let's just search this time for camera 3D. Click camera 3D. And I can drag this wherever I like in my scene. You can see that trapezoid thing there, pyramid shape. That's my camera. If I drag it using these arrows, you can start to see the preview over on the side here of what the camera can see. So that square is what the camera is looking at. If I rotate it, then it doesn't see the ball anymore. And by the way, that's what these handles do. The arrows let you drag it. The circles let me rotate the camera, so I can actually move it. Not just up and back, but I can also face it downwards just a little bit, so it's facing a bit of the ball and a bit of the ground. And you can see that update in the pyramid shape so that we know what we're looking at. But if you can't quite tell from looking at that, that's why there's a nice preview over there. So now that I have a camera, we will see something when we play the game. It's still going to look pretty bad, but it's much better. At least we'll be able to see a ball and the ground. So there's my game, and you can see it did indeed work. The ball fell down for a while and then it suddenly stopped, but it's looking extremely dark. So that's the next problem that we want to solve. We do have a working game. I might just move the camera down a little bit so we can see the ball touching the bottom of the ground there. We do have a working game. The ball lands on the ground, but it's really dark and there doesn't seem to be a lot of definition. It looks very 2D for a 3D game. And that's all because we also need a couple of extra things. We need lighting, basically. In 2D, you don't need to worry about lighting. Stuff still looks okay if there's not really any extra light. But see, in 3D, you need shadows. There's a shadow on the ground. There's a shadow on the ball. That's the thing that makes it look like a ball and not just a circle. When we play the game, we just get a boring circle. But as soon as we've got a bit of lighting, it's not going to look like a circle anymore. It's going to look more like a ball. It's a very easy thing to do in Godot. We click this little drop-down button here. This is the default sun, and this is the default environment. And by hitting these three dots, we add that default sun and that default environment into our game, which means the game's actually going to look nice when we play it instead of looking really, really bad and dark. So after clicking those three dots, I'm going to click Add Sun to Scene. And then I'm going to click them again and click Add Environment to Scene. You can see it's added these things to my tree: World Environment and Directional Light. You can even see the directional light there on the ground. It's kind of a box pointing in a direction. Those things are going to light up our scene so that the ball doesn't look 2D anymore. It looks 3D. Let's click play one final time and we'll see an actual nice looking ball falling onto the ground. And there we have it. Look how much nicer that looks. We've got a nice looking scene. It's got a camera. It's got a sun and it's got an environment. And our rigid body is falling down and colliding with our static body. That's the end of this video. I'll see you again in the next one and we'll make the ball bounce a bit.